Hello and welcome. This is Thomas and this is channel called Wonder of Existence. I'm happy to be back with the topic called Reincarnation and Karma. If I remember correctly, last time we covered up a couple of aspects of this major or big topic. But I'm pretty sure that we can carry on with that because there's still at least a couple of aspects of it to be discussed. And if I remember correctly, we finished it off with a question of mine. Actually, if we can talk about possibly negative aspect again.
Yeah.
But let's focus on what let's carry on maybe with what we discussed already, or let's try to sum it up. We discussed last time here. If you can help me with river of forgetfulness.
If in relation to the why don't you remember your last or former lives,
your past lives,
yeah.
Then we discussed
what I called the Cleopatra syndrome, because we want to be bigger in the tradition of Facebook. We want to be bigger than we feel inside of us, and we did. Well, there was a point of how do people deal with their present incarnation,
and we also discussed what reincarnation is in our view, right? More or less, at least we tried to discuss that.
And we talked about mentioned old karma versus new karma. What the difference is. Could be a point of talking further about, and that egoism blinds you, and that's in relation to the Buddhistic exercises of the path, the Eightfold Paths in what the Buddha gave us so many years ago. So the river of forgetfulness in relation to our egoism, that's an interesting point too. And then the question of you. Well, there can be learning of something is something positive. Exercising is something positive, but maybe there is a freedom problem that you just are pushed into an incarnation that we don't want.
Maybe. And that's something it's not related to the free will, that perhaps we are actually pushed or forced to do something here. So let's say we've so far been quite optimistic about the fact that we are here, that we are part of this reincarnation circle and the karma system, and then most likely that it's our will to be here. We really want to experience, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad, but we want to experience, collect all those information, and whenever you're back, you just sort of send it to database over there, and you enjoy it perhaps, and you're having fun, and etc. etc. There's one more option which I wanted to discuss, which is exactly the one which we just mentioned, which is the negative option. And why it's negative? Because I went through a lot of content suggesting that it might be the case that we are not here because we want to be here, but we are forced to be here by some other beings, and not necessarily beings which are more powerful than us. Then most likely we are perhaps too naive or too open to other beings and believe in their attitude, or let's say in them forcing us to do some activities or tasks. So what I'm trying to say is, if you approach different being, not in the physical world, as long as you are fully conscious of who you are and where you are and what this world is about, it's fine. Then you're in charge. And you are powerful enough to resist all kind of other spaces, other beings, and you are basically in charge because you are part of the source, and you are very powerful. The problem is that what happens if you believe that someone tells you the story which you believe in, and you basically give in your your power away. You become a part of the circle called reincarnation and the karma, where instead of you being in charge, you are used to be a sort of a toy in hands of other beings, and those beings are using you as a source of energy, and in most of the cases it's a source of negative energy. And in order for you to comply with that, they need to sell you a story which you need to basically swallow as a baby. And in order for you not to wake up and realize that actually you are a prisoner, they give you the artificial reality to deal with, to play with, to be part of, which we call reality. So just imagine that you are the free spirit. You somewhere without the physical shell. You're just a spark. You're just a spirit, free energy, floating, flying, whatever you do. But you're free. At some point you meet those beings. You get into sort of contract with them. And they tell you that it would be good if you could help to do this or that, or it would be good if you could go down to this physical layer because you can experience something really exciting. And as a being which deep in your heart being very positive and open, you try to help. So you basically go for it. As long as you confirm to this being that yes, I'm fine with helping, let's say, humanity on this piece of land, within the physical reality, you are done. You basically go with the rules of those beings, and those beings create a sort of virtual reality, not necessarily using computers to do that, but they create a matrix. So the like artificial world, where you end up in being having this physical costume, physical vehicle. And the worst part of it is that you wake up as a kid. You are born to this world, and you sort of, once you realize that I am alive, let's say, I don't know, at age of 2, 3, 4 years, I don't know, it depends on the person, you just start asking yourself, like, who am I? But, not necessarily you get the answers. Why? Because your parents and all your environment is already within this physical layer, this physical environment, where everyone is part of this environment, which means that everyone thinks that this is real reality. And you basically are shaped automatically. You get all those programs, and you're being overwritten with all those information, and it doesn't matter what you remember, it will be overwritten by this physical reality. There are some people who manage for some reason to keep some pieces of access to some different dimensions. Those people, in most of the cases, it happens to small kids up until the age of 6, 8, sometimes 10. And after some time, they simply forget about it. But they do remember either their previous lives, or they remember different reality they come from. And those people are wise enough to start digging in and trying to find out what's going on. But this is the exception. This is just probably some promille. Majority, probably 99.9% of a population, is just the people who are like ships, just born here, perform some tasks because they told to, because they know nothing about anything else, and this is their whole life, completely forgetting their real life. And as long as you within this life, then you become part of the program, and the program is created the way that you need to create emotions. So you create the positive emotions, you create the negative emotions, but if you look at the history of the humanity on this earth, I would say that majority of energy which is produced is negative. All those wars, all those shouts, kicks, kills, you name it. It's loads of it. Its majority is a negative energy. All this is basically sucked in by all those beings, and those beings are keep us as spirit within this reincarnation circle in order to reproduce ourselves automatically and in order to produce this energy again, and it goes and goes and goes. And in order for you as a human being in this reality to reincarnate again, they create a program called, it depends on the religion, which is in my view also created by those beings, or stimulated in order to create those religions. You go to heaven or you go to any kind of different dimension where you are told that you did wrong or you did something not okay and you should be feeling guilty or you should be feeling sorry. And they call this, people call this area like the place where you meet the God, or you meet angels, or you meet your guides, and all those people, all those entities, all those beings are telling you, yeah, we really sorry that you went through all this, but in order to help you to become a better person, you need to go again and fix your problems. But the problem here is that whenever you come back, you don't remember what you need to fix because your memory is being removed, is being deleted, wiped out. So then you start again. And if you're clever enough or smart enough or whatever you call it, and you come within your life cycle to the point that I got it, now I know what it is, and you prepare yourself to stand and fight or let's say resist against those beings once you're dead, once you die, then perhaps you can leave this this realm, not the real world, which is so real to us. And this is that negative story which is supported by loads of people.
Can I ask a question? If you died tomorrow and woke up and realised the truth of all this, which is what you're saying, that was the truth, what you just said was the truth, and you realised that spirit, would you look back on your life here as a human being and say, well, I'm not doing that again?
You might not be feeling good, conscious enough to even question yourself.
Suppose you were. Suppose you got back to spirit, yeah, and you said, oh my God, I'm in a trap. But because I know I'm in a trap, I'm suddenly free. They let you go. Would you look back on your experience of being human only in negative terms? Or would you say, well, actually, it wasn't that bad. I actually quite enjoy being human. I think I'll go back in.
It's an interesting question, to be honest, but I think that I wouldn't be interested in it. You know why? Because I think that whatever happens above this physical reality is far more interesting than being here. This is just a locked,
so this is the fundamental difference.
Very limited
Yeah.
reality.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do above our physical reality is way more. You have way more freedom than here. If you go here and you hit the wall, you hit the wall.
Yeah.
That's the question, the freedom.
Yeah.
The freedom, but you have more freedom, but you don't have the same sort of experiences. It's impossible to have the same sort of experiences without the limitations that you get here. You have very, very unique experiences through the limitation. And
that's correct, yeah.
And that makes it, whichever way you experience it, that makes it a possible positive experience. There are positive elements to being human and not being spirit. Now, if you can't experience those without being human, without being three-dimensional, without being physical, then you're missing out on something. So you can't look on the experience of being physical as only a bad experience. And that leads me to think, well, if it's a prison, it's a damn good prison. And you might want to just visit anyway, you know? And yeah, okay, I understand where you're saying that you could be tricked into a revolving sort of pattern. I mean, it's not much different than just looking at society. You know, we vote, the same people get in power and they're running your lives, and there's bigger people in power. The elites are running societies, especially what's coming out of today, where all the world's being pushed in a certain direction and everything. Yet we continue to vote for these people. We blame the capitalists, and we blame the communists, and we blame the elites, and we blame the royals, and we blame the reptilians, and everything, you know. But really, if we can just go down to the cafe and sit on the terrace with our friends and have a good babble and drink a good coffee or a beer, and we're happy as Larry. We really are. It's not that big a problem. A lot of people are actually living pretty good lives, definitely here in the West.
But they live in bubble.
Yeah,
they
but
live in the bubble.
What is wrong with the bubble?
The wrong is...
if it's a good bubble, what's wrong with it, you know? And people here are just as blind. They, you know, it's you start talking about, the government is doing this and doing this. You're living in a bubble, and they'll call you a conspiracy theorist. Well, I mean, this what you're talking about is all like cosmic conspiracy theory, you know. But what is really wrong with your life here? And if you're having a good time, it's an experience of having a good time, and that's got its own value, even if you've been lied to. I remember, as a sort of example, Chris, my ex, she has a couple of friends who come from East Germany. Now, one of them in particular, she only left just a little bit after the wall broke down and came to Amsterdam. And we went to visit her, or she went on holiday to somewhere up north of west of Dresden.
Dresden, yeah.
South of Dresden, actually, yeah, on the border with Poland, I think it was. And we went as well, and I'd never been to East Germany before. It was beautiful. It was massive forests. And she said, we always used to come here as kids. Now, in West Germany, to find a forest that was so untouched by human hands, so unspoilt, I was thinking, it must have been great to be a kid in those days, in that place, in that time. They had it hard in some ways, but they had things that we didn't even have in the West. And you have to think, we have to weigh the two things up. You know, what beautiful, I mean, they had holidays, they were allowed holidays, and they could go to some great places. They couldn't leave the country, but within the country they had some great places to go to that even we out the West would now go to as a holiday. You know, and if you could look at that in the same terms as Earth, three-dimensional, and then spirit, and you said, I know, it's behind the wall, you know, but I'm going there for a holiday because we've got things there that we don't have here.
It all depends on the perspective. If you believe that
this
bubbles gives you satisfaction and you feel free enough, or let's say satisfied enough, it's fine. It's fine on one side. But on the other hand, I still believe that this is not fine because we are still prisoners. It's like going to the prison now in Sweden, for example, versus Thailand.
Yeah.
In Thailand, you'll be just dead probably within a year, because it's so strict and so horrible. Yeah. But in Sweden, you've got a TV, internet access, library, and etc., and nobody hits you, nobody dare to do anything to you. You can call it. You can call this.
Yeah, but it's not like that because they are distinctly different. But here, you can have one person, two people sitting together. One person experiences this as a Thai prison, and the other person might experience it as a typical Dutch prison. An open, or a Swedish prison, completely open, you know. It's still a prison, but two people in the same prison experience it completely different. Well, that's an individual thing. And it's again, to do with perspective, but it's awareness of being able to have a different experience, a different perspective, and take a different perspective. Yeah, it might be a bubble and it might be a prison, but is it all that bad? And is it something we want to escape?
Maybe we have to go back to Buddha.
Yeah.
Because Buddha
He knew about
thought
this.
it was a negative. The life on earth is laden. What's
Suffering.
Suffering.
So yes,
That's what he thought, and what it needed is that the mankind had to develop empathy. I think that's the basic of Buddhism, and he thought that, or he learned that people, what I know, what I read of it, is that you have to strive back to heaven, nirvana. And so that means earthly life is suffering, is negative. And he had some eight ways to work on it on earth, to be able to go back to nirvana. But I think for me it was not really positive, that way of thinking. That's back. That's not the way to experience the world for me. It was not that negative, because I had really the feeling as a child too that there was something to do for me here. So I didn't experience when I met this thought. That felt for me, well, it's possible, but it doesn't feel for me like that negative. And there's another thing about that's one point, the Buddhistic. Mm-hmm. I think this is the Buddhistic way of looking at this reincarnation thing, the incarnation on earth. And but there is a freedom question too. The river of forgetfulness is not only the forgetfulness is not only a negative thing, because we are curious about what did we do in our past lives, but the forgetfulness, that's the right word?
No.
It's not there to.
We are the reason.
Well, it's not there to as a negative thing, but it frees ourselves. We are not.
Frees us to start again.
Well, we are not prisoned by the necessity of the spiritual life, because spiritual life is it looks very okay, but I think it's only necessity there. That's the law. All things if we see God, we don't think, we are not able to think ourselves, because we are so impressed by angels, gods, or higher spirits. So the river of forgetfulness gives us the possibility to be free of that necessity.
Yeah.
And that felt very okay for me. Okay, I need to be not that impressed to be able to develop something new. And then I read about the higher spirits, higher entities not being able to have that freedom experience, because it was always necessity, like the computer is only doing what he has to do. So in heaven all is necessity. On earth we have the possibility to be free, but freedom needs evil and good, for else it's not free. If we only know what has to be done, then it's not freedom. So that's, for me, it was really great to be, so I can do something. It's very small maybe, but I can do very important thing, because this is an experience here on earth that's not possible in heaven, or what you call paradise, or that experience of freedom is not possible in between all those mighty entities. But I think these entities are much more mighty than we are. So if we are confronted directly with these entities, it's not possible for us to think and to develop the small thing we need, because they need that type of things.
It's actually doesn't stray too far from what you're saying. You have good and evil in the spirit world as well. So you've got the good spirit world, and they are imprisoned in the inability to have free will, because there's, as you say, they are under the influence of the God.
Total necessity, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly,
Yeah,
but that's what my feeling.
But then you have the evil side of it, which is exactly the same, but imprisoned within evilness and can't break out of that. Don't have any choice.
No.
So, but we can choose between one or the other, and we can.
And the river of forgetfulness is the only way to.
Yeah, of course.
To get out of these imprisonment of the higher worlds.
It's funny. Can I just another? I haven't read a lot of Buddha, but after you mentioned it, I looked it up the last couple of weeks, and he was talking about. Or the piece I read also mentioned on suffering, and apparently humans suffer the least. That's what he was saying. He said the spiritual world is really heavy suffering there, in their own way, and he said here on earth, animals suffer in their own way, but human beings is actually one of the highest experiences you can have. Because it's the only experience where you have the choice to suffer or not, where you can ease your suffering. So, it's only the gist of it, and I can't remember exactly because I didn't read deeper. It was an interesting thought.
It reminds me one of the hypnotic regression session where the medium was in touch with some being, the owners of one of the matrices.
Yeah.
So let's say that also including Earth, and they called us bugs, like small bugs. You are so unimportant to me. You are completely nobody to me. And when the medium asked, like, how can you call us this way? We are more powerful than you are, because we come from the source, and we are part of the source. And you are nobody to us. The only problem is that we are not conscious enough to realize that we are more powerful than you are. But whoever wakes up and realizes that can easily destroy you, just like that. Yeah. And then this being realized, but you are too stupid to wake up. And this discussion was really interesting. Really, I mean, if we can call it discussion, because obviously we don't use words. It's just the exchange of thoughts between 2 points. But the thing is that whatever they think, or let's say it this way, they create this environment. We are sort of toys within this environment, creating something what they need. They are satisfied as long as we are still those toys. I remember even one of those beings said once, the medium said, what if now, let's say, Anna wakes up and she will destroy you? Yeah, it doesn't matter, because there's lots of us. Even if you destroy, and even if this one Anna will be freed up, we don't care. It's just one of billions of you. So nobody cares, actually. What do you mean nobody cares? So if we manage to free all of us, then you have no access to the energy. Yeah, you won't do it. Ha 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 ha. What do you mean ha 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 ha? Yeah, you're stupid enough not to do it. You dream. You're constantly in the phase of dream, and you don't realize that. So you're constantly dreaming. If some particular units wake up, it's fine. They just wake up. They go away. They go back. They freed up themselves. But most likely they will come back here. And you know why? He said. He said because they believe that all those beings in this world struggle so much that they need to interfere and help those in order to free them up. But once they back here, they with us again, and then we go through the circle again.
It's not much difference from here in the physical world with the elites, and the big corporations who just don't give a damn if you don't buy their product because there's millions of other people who will, and they don't care about you either. They just care about the profit that they make, and so it's the same sort of thing. But yeah, the point is you do have the power. Not to pull them down, not to destroy them, but to free yourself up from them.
Yeah, but you're powerful enough even to destroy them. We are all very powerful.
Yeah, but if we all got together, but yeah, we are stupid. Well, yeah, that's debatable as well. Whether it's due to whether we're just deeper asleep,
One of those exercises of Buddha is to be
humble.
Mm. Those entities, that medium, they are just trying to look very big.
Yeah.
And they try to, because what I was once, I found it really great, the anxiousness of people is food for higher entities, those evil entities. Oh, that's simple. Well, try to be less anxious and try to form a community that is most probably less anxious. But if some people are conscious with it, I think the earthly circumstances will be more difficult by creating wars, by creating all types of circumstances that normally provide people with anxiousness. Well, that's the exercise. Still form communities with people that they look at it and they try to be not that anxious. Old myths, Siegfried with the monster, well, he only has to look at it and not turn away and try to flee. No. The normal evolution action is flee, I think, or be angry, fight. But that's not. This is what you have to do. Is just look it in his eyes, and he's just. You find his weak point, and not as a fighting thing, but just it loses its power if you just look in his eyes. And not physical eyes, but a monster of a war is not a physical thing. You can, but the way you have to talk it is in pictures, in some sort of, by means of calling it eye or looking in the eye. But that's the exercise, and that's what made me feel, this is what it is. And it can be stupid, it can be a dream, but. I don't have to be big. Those entities, they want to be big. They want to be. Why should I be a higher be? Why should I be that big? That it has a great responsibility. I only have the possibility to do the exercises of humbleness and not lying and not all those simple things all those big religions give us. I can do it or not. And well, it's. I like those small parts. I don't want to do those big parts.
It's all about the values. It depends which values are valuable for you. So let's say if you believe that humbleness or being modest is something that we should be, it's very important, then you appreciate that, and then you think like the others who appreciate being aggressive or whatever else, they are stupid or worse or wrong or whatever. But as we said, we don't even know if good is good and bad is bad. How can we define that good is good? It's so difficult to even measure that or define. Simply define.
Define good, and for me it's not a definition. For me it's a feeling. I think my heart can tell me what is good and what is not good.
But how can you?
I don't know where my trust in my heart comes
that's the
from.
point. How can you even even realize that your heart is something that you should be sticking to.
Well, you can look at it good, like love. Good grows, builds, develops, spreads, shares. And bad destroys. Simple as that.
But there's a colleague in my school. He says he's a Christian. He says evil is not creative, and I really like that remark. I don't know exactly what it means, but I really like the remark. Yeah. Evil is not creative.
No, it cannot create. It can only destroy.
Yeah. Yes, that's the point.
And that is the basic feeling that you get. Am I being good? Well, you can ask yourself, am I creating or am I destroying? And
but you can ask yourself, what's wrong with destroying something? You know, when during those sessions, this regression session, there was a question like that, and when one of the entities says, like, yeah, I enjoy destroying anything. Whatever I can destroy, it gives me satisfaction. So then the medium asked him, why do you like it? And he said, like, yeah, because I believe that this is what gives me satisfaction, therefore it's good. Yeah. It's good for me. So it depends on the perspective. Something's wrong for us might be very good for the others. And also those beings, they used the example of when medium asked him, why are you so brutal? Why you create so much negative energy here? And he said, like, and why the brutality is in this earth? Why we need to kill each other? Why there's such a huge of deaths, of suffering? And he said, you know, why do you look at me as someone negative? What do you do with your animals? And the medium responded, yeah, we take care of them. We play with our pets. We have hamsters at home, we have fish, we have this and that. Yeah, but on the other hand, you slaughter billions of them every single year because you want to eat. Therefore, I can eat you as well. And he called himself at once, I remember, as a mosquito. He's like a mosquito. He's actually more generous to us than we are against the animals, because he just sucks the energy out of that, but we're still alive. We still enjoy our life, whatever enjoyment means. But we kill animals. We kill them in a way that is not not polite. How you can describe it? Like not
humane. Humane.
Humane.
Yeah,
but that's you're completely right.
Yeah.
The logical thing is completely right. And if you look at a tree, just a plant, it's not only energy to create. They create until the summer, and then there is destroying. But there is one point with new life in it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that entity doesn't mention that. That's point of a very little seed that's coming into the ground. And this destroying in us. Every meal we have, we destroy all the thing we take in. It's the first part is very sour. It's completely deadening everything,
acid,
destroying everything.
Acid. Oh.
Yeah. And before we can take it and make our own structure for it, so we can use it. But we use it for our consciousness, because this body, with all the destroying in it, is used for consciousness.
Yeah, but
so that destroying belongs to consciousness, and if you're only that's what you think. What is you can see it, and if you move too much, you can't think anymore. So you have some sort of rest in it to be able to have consciousness. Now you can question the consciousness, why it's necessary, but the consciousness is the only world we can experience all these thoughts, all these good and bad. That's the only place. So we need consciousness to be able to experience this. But it depends on destroying. So this the entity is right. That why do you think it's bad to destroy? It's destroying is everywhere, because we in every 7 years our body is completely destroyed and built up again.
Renewed, yeah.
So that's part of life here.
Yeah, but we're talking about the physical layer only. That's happening, and what's happening.
He's right about the animals. He's completely right.
No. I know, but we're talking about the physical layer. What he's doing is, or he's doing, they use our energy, which is not on the physical layer.
But that, if it's that, I don't know. Did medium did question what do you actually? What is the food? Is it which part of the soul, not of the physical layer, but the soul, is food for you? Did she ask that?
Yeah. We can discuss this perhaps in the next episode. I think that it's
gone away from reincarnation.
Yeah, but it's So the question, what is food for?
Yeah, you can write it down, but let's park here right now.
Yeah.
I think that we spent enough time now to discuss some aspects of reincarnation and karma. Unless we have anything else, we'll come back next time. So thank you very much, Mike and Geert, again, and talk to you next time. Thank you.